Tonight's episode of the 31st Lap Podcast is brought to you by Demico, Chrysler, Dodge Jeep, and Ram, serving the Finger Lakes since 1963. And DirtTrackDigest.com. If it's on dirt, it's on Dirt Track Digest.
This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Wednesday. Coming to you a little bit heavy-hearted here. Just kind of following up a little bit more as more and more information comes out about this developing situation with Kevin Ward and his unfortunate passing. You know, we send out all of our thoughts and condolences to his family and the entire racing community here in Central New York. My travel schedule, I'm going to be leaving in the morning on my way to Minnesota. Mike, he's still taking this thing pretty hard, as a lot of members of the racing community are. If you're somehow living under a rock and aren't aware of what happened at Canandaigua Motorsports Park on Saturday, we'll kind of walk through it a little bit. Kevin Ward was struck by a sprint car when he exited his car and in turn two, and he passed away on the track. If you are anywhere close to social media, there are countless experts that are recounting it. In watching the video, Kevin's car spun, flattened the right rear tire. He was facing oncoming traffic in turn two. Yellow flag came out. He exited his car and he approached who he thought had spun him, and that was Tony Stewart. And as he approached Tony Stewart, the right rear tire of Tony's car struck Kevin and flung him quite a ways. The number of national media organizations, for some reason, have decided to play the entirety of that clip. It is available on YouTube. I'm not playing it tonight. I don't think that there's really any need for that to be replayed. And now the way that the internet works, that's out there forever. It seems to me that a lot of these national media organizations have elected to forego any semblance of courtesy in recognizing Kevin Ward as a driver, first of all, and any courtesy to his family as well. I was hoping to have a little bit of a conversation here with Mike or Rich. Rich, he's taking this thing pretty hard too. He was working at the track and was in the capacity of security over there. Tommy Wickham ultimately was named the winner. They're going to call that event official. It's probably not something that he wants his name in the record book with, and most of the sprint car racing community obviously dealing with some of this. There's so many people that are quick to come to the defense of Tony Stewart, in so many words, condemning Kevin Ward for taking a position where he would exit the car. How dumb is he? How dumb is he? He's a dumb kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. Forget that. That's completely inaccurate. Completely inaccurate. Kevin Ward is a very skilled race driver. He has had several years of experience behind the wheel with the Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprints, picked up wins. He's a skilled race driver. They are completely overlooking the fact, those folks that are saying that Kevin Ward is poor in his decision-making for exiting the car and further chastising him for wearing a black fire suit. Never before have I heard any commentary whatsoever directed towards a driver's apparel choices. Never. But more so, they're talking about how poor a decision is that he exited the car. Yeah, it's a bad decision. I'll give you that. That's fine. But the thing is why do we see NASCAR trailers and highlight reels that have drivers throwing gloves and helmets at oncoming traffic? Why do we have every local track on any given night has this happen time and time over? And now today, Kevin Ward is the bad guy for getting out of his car. Absolutely not. Completely off base. Completely off base. NASCAR guys, when they throw helmets and stuff, they get on instant replays. Tony Stewart, pretty sure he was the guy that was throwing a helmet at Matt Kenseth at Bristol last August, maybe right about this time. Just kind of putting that out there. Kevin Ward did not do anything that was not within the common accepted practices of motorsport. I see that there's a lot that's come out here lately. In the last day or so, Fulton and Brewerton Speedways have both issued statements regarding Kevin Ward. Fulton was supposed to be in action tonight due to the rains and stuff in the area. They elected to cancel their Eve of Destruction show. Chris Moraine is going to be back in town with a Demolition Derby program coming up on the 18th of October. Barring weather issues, they're also going to tentatively set it for the 18th of October. If they have any weather-related problems, they're going to turn around and run it the following day. So they ended up canceling that. But Friday, ESS is going to be in action at Brewerton. We're going to come back to this Kevin Ward thing in just a second. ESS is going to be in action at Brewerton coming up on Friday. That race is going to happen. Dean Reynolds has posted several times that they are going to attempt an orange out. I don't think it's going to be hard to do. There's going to be a lot of fan support out there for Kevin Ward, who is, might I remind anyone who is listening that doesn't already agree with me on this, who Kevin Ward is someone more than just the person that Tony Stewart killed. And it is positively sickening that anybody, let alone the blanket power of mainstream media at this point, that has reduced Kevin Ward's existence to that. He's a good dude. We've met him. We've talked with him. Mike is very close to Kevin and his family, and he's a part of the racing community. Even if you don't know him, he's part of the racing community, because if you listening at home are a race fan or a racer, you know how tight-knit this community is. And this is an even tougher thing to take and to deal with, because you've got a situation where somebody who is a racer, who is one of the brethren, was taken away in a situation that, yes, it was a racing accident, but it wasn't the same. It's a little bit harder to digest when it was this situation. You've got Kramer Williamson passes away driving a car. Jason Leffler passes away driving a car, driving a sprint car at Bridgeport. Those guys were in the car. They were driving, they were racing, they were competing. Kevin Ward wasn't in a car. He didn't have a roll cage around him. He didn't have any of those the hero's clothes, so to say, around him when he lost his life at Canandaigua on Saturday. Instead, he was hit by a car. And you hear so many people saying that he's the one that's at fault. And I disagree with that, because you see this activity almost heralded as a form of courage. You know, and think about what was going through Kevin Ward's mind. Here he is, competitive at Canandaigua. His car gets turned around unjustly. His car could be damaged. You don't know what happened there. Adrenaline's high. Obviously, it's a high-pressure cooker type sport. We all know that. Adrenaline's high. Blood's pumping. He was dumped unjustly. Dumped furthermore by Tony Stewart, the competitor. Dumped furthermore, in his mind, by Tony Stewart, a NASCAR champion, a USAC recognized champion, a IRL competitor who owns sprint car teams. All this is going through his head. What's this do to his point season? What's this do to, how bad is this car? Tony Stewart, somewhat perception, endless funds. Doesn't matter. Endless, bottomless. Whatever breaks, put a new one on. Kevin Ward doesn't have that luxury. All these things probably going through his mind as a racer. And the way to deal with that is to confront that problem right now. Seen it done 100 times before. And he comes out on the track. Almost hit by one driver. They got around with no problem. And then ultimately he was struck by Tony Stewart. Now, I'm not saying that Tony Stewart did or didn't do this on purpose. I don't believe that he intentionally tried to inflict any harm. I wrote a lot about this in the Finger Lakes Times column this week, and I'm rehashing a little bit of it, but I think that a lot of it still needs to be heard on a little bit larger scale. I think a lot of people have completely missed the boat on their takes on this, and we'll dive into a little bit of the Tony Stewart side of things here now too. Tony Stewart is Tony Stewart. He's a competitor. I'm taking all the layers off. I'm taking NASCAR champion off. I'm taking IRL off the table. Talking team owner off the table, team principal, all that stuff. He's a competitor. He wants to win. Now, at the same time, if somebody comes out and challenges you and you don't adjust your back, you don't do something, did he maybe try to put a scare into Kevin Ward? I think it's plausible. I think that's certainly plausible. Did he plan on hitting him? I don't think so. I don't see how that's even remotely a possibility that he was going to intentionally do that. But did he try to put a scare in him? Absolutely. He's Tony Stewart. Who are you to come and challenge Tony Stewart? Is it plausible? Yeah, that's plausible. Is it likely? No one's going to know. Tony Stewart's not going to come out and say this. We haven't heard much of anything other than canned statements from Tony Stewart's camp. But similarly, we've only heard pre-prepared commentary from Canandaigua Motorsports Park as well. So, I mean, this is still affecting Tony Stewart. Lest anyone think that I'm saying that Tony Stewart's cold, heartless, unaffected. I mean, he pulled out of the race Sunday. H.A. Allmendinger going on to pick up the win over there at Watkins Glen. That win, of course, overshadowed immensely by everything that transpired over there at Canandaigua. But it's one of those things that just continues to this continues to generate more steam. I mean, I was looking at a little bit of social media earlier today, and they're talking about how this is the second time that Tony Stewart's done this. Yeah, kinda, a little. If you want to start connecting dots that don't really need to be connected, sure, I can see where that conversation might have to happen. We've got Alicia Ruggles' situation, but I'm pretty sure that it was the Ruggles family that has said time and time again, over and over, that they don't blame Tony Stewart at all because Tony Stewart's a competitor. He's got a fire burning in him. He likes to race. I mean, he almost ended his own racing career when he broke his leg last year in a 360 sprint car accident. It required a bunch of surgeries to get it back together and missed the end of the end of the NASCAR season. So does he want to scare Kevin Ward? Does he want to make a point as a competitor? Sure. Is he trying to hurt him? I don't think so. At the same time, you've got a sprint car that's running significant stagger on the right rear tire, helping it turn left. Dynamic of the car, no matter what level of sprint car racing you're in, no matter what level of racing you're in, if you're constantly turning left, you've got stagger on that car. The way the sprint car is, if you want it to turn left faster, you stand on the throttle. You want to get out of the way, you want to avoid hitting somebody, it's going to look just the same as if you're trying to run that person over. You stand on the throttle, you crank that bad boy to the left, and it's going to turn. It's going to look the same. So was Tony Stewart trying to avoid him? Tony Stewart had to look through a 360 sprint car. Have you ever sat in a 360 sprint car? It's not easy to see out of. You've got what you can see out in front of you. You've got a wing hanging down over the front of the race car. You've got the wing out in front of you as well. You've got a wraparound helmet and a helmet itself and a wraparound seat to help keep all of your soft parts inside of the car in the event this thing goes upside down, because as everybody knows, sprint cars do tend to do so. So you're packed in. Visibility, minimal. You're in the darkest part of Canandaigua Motorsports Park, Turn 2. You've got a car next to you that you need to see through in order to almost be omniscient to see somebody who's coming at you. So did he intentionally run him over, or was this just an accident? I'm still hedging toward accident. Unfortunate. Perfect storm of bad decisions. Should Kevin have gotten out of the car? No. Is there any reason to think that he wouldn't have gotten out of the car? I don't think so. I mean, look at how many different situations have we come across. Dale Earnhardt Jr., We've seen NASCAR caliber drivers pull away on one another with them hanging out the window. Come on, you can't soapbox this one. You can't sit there and say Kevin Ward screwed up. You can't sit there and say Kevin Ward is his dumbass. You can't say that stuff. You can't do it. If you're a race fan, you were at your local track. Sure, I get Tony Stewart's army of fans who wants to defend Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart can do no wrong. I get that. I'll give you the pass on that one. I'll give you the pass on that part of it. But you still have to operate with some semblance of intelligence, and you still have to operate with some semblance of respect. Too many people are screwing that part up. Kevin Ward didn't do anything wrong. Another part and I'm going to change. I know I'm probably flip-flopping back and forth a little bit on this. We'd sort of hoped that we were going to have some other commentary here tonight, and due to the emotional nature of this stuff, it didn't come together. And I respect that. I'm not going to push anybody to do it. I know that this is something that you guys out there were going to want to know kind of our take on it. And, if you want to take a look around and see what I'm looking at here, there's where Mike would have been sitting. There's where John would have been. And those guys, tough situation for everybody. On top of not being able to see out of a sprint car. on top of what it takes to get a sprint car to turn or not turn, to swerve in an instant. There's a lot going on for a driver under yellow. I talked to Eric G. Garrett. Think about all the stuff that you're doing under yellow. Adjusting brakes. Sprint car, you're adjusting wings. Checking gauges. Also, just like any other car, especially if you've watched them go on a track that's slicked over, or they're testing out grooves, it's not uncommon at all to see any number of racing automobiles to try out different grooves on the track and to rev the engine and spin the tires for heat cycle purposes, to check grip, to check any number of reasons. So let's say Tony Stewart is trying to dial in the wing a little bit or adjust the brakes, and in doing so, he's trying to also keep heat in the right rear tire or see if he can get any grip out of the middle. Kevin Ward's car was well outside the racing groove. He was up on the top of turn 2. Tony Stewart had all the track that he wanted to work with in terms of the racing groove. No problem. So in terms of going and hyperanalyzing where his car was actually tracking as he navigated through turn 2, I think that's misplaced as well. Maybe he's trying to keep heat in the tire, trying to check out, if he's got the brake bias set where he wants, if he's got any number of different things, because he's a competitor. He still wants to win that race. Couple that with not being able to see out of the car to begin with. Again, I can see where this is a very, very unfortunate accident. And a lot of people are acting quite irresponsibly by painting this picture, demonizing either Tony Stewart or Kevin Ward for that matter. Kevin, unfortunately, is gone, and there's nothing that's going to bring him back. It's a sad, sad thing. When you think about the poor family who was trying to get to their son as he lay prone on the racetrack, emergency crews responding magnificently. Canandaigua Motorsports Park staff needs to be applauded, and they are unsung heroes in this situation. They did a great job of securing it and making sure that information was relayed and all these other different scenarios as they played out. There is no training that makes this easy. There's no way to prepare for this to happen. You don't go to something and say, okay, if this happens, this is the protocol. They were all dealing with this as a very fluid situation as it happened. Racing time. Learning very sad news. And relaying that difficult news as they turned around and ultimately decided they were going to cancel the racing activities for that night. The family riding back on their four-wheeler, tears streaming down their face, on cell phones. I think he's dead, but they won't let me near him. They don't know that stuff. That kind of stuff hasn't been reported. Instead, we want to talk about how much of a dumbass Kevin Ward is. We want to talk about how much of a demon Tony Stewart is. You guys are missing it. Totally. If you are among those people that are sharing those links and stuff like that, you need to rethink what you're doing big time. Because it's not good for the community. It's not helping anything. What you should be doing is investing your efforts into supporting the family. Instead of clicking the like button, why don't you take a few minutes and just say a prayer, offer some thoughts to that family. Privately, publicly, whatever you need to do. Whatever makes you feel better about it. But remember them. Be supportive of the racing community. This is a black eye for a lot of motorsport across the board. And everybody seems to need to have an opinion on it. They're quick to judge. They're quick to have an opinion. And I don't think that is fair in any way to anybody that's associated to this situation. Because there is so much more substance to this. So much more what-ifs. There are so many different alternate realities. There's so many different scenarios and situations that could and couldn't have happened. That could and couldn't have been done. That could and couldn't have played out. Just to boil it down and leave it at the essence of Tony Stewart killed this kid who got out of his car and he was a dumbass for doing it. Completely wrong. Completely off base. I'm very tempted to just cap this right now. Because that's where the focus needs to be. Brewerton Speedway is going to be in action this weekend. The race on Friday. ESS is going to be there. The orange out is what's being pushed. Instead of clicking the like button and sharing a link of something ignorant, jump online. I see Craig Ravel. He's got some shirts and some decals that are available, remembrances, and the proceeds from those are going to the Empire Super Sprints Injured Driver Fund, which were the wishes of Kevin Ward's family. Canandaigua Speedway is going to be in action this weekend, Saturday. They were supposed to have a program this evening that has been canceled. They canceled that. They canceled that Monday morning. They took that wacky Wednesday program off the card where it had small blocks, big blocks, sail panels, all the different combinations of things there. All that stuff was taken off the schedule. And again, Fulton also canceled their Eve of Destruction program tonight due to weather. And Brewerton will be in action this weekend, Fulton as well. If you guys want, we'll try and drum up a little bit for you on who won where. Spencer Speedway. I know Spencer had their 60th anniversary event over there this weekend. That track initially opened up in 1955 on August 8th, last Friday. It was the true 60th year hosting auto racing. This weekend, double point 60-lap feature. Rusty Smith came away with the win over Kevin Timmerman. That was good to see him back in victory lane. Meaningful win right there, and it's Rusty's a good dude too. He runs pretty well over there. He's got a couple wins this year. Fulton Speedway, they had their racing program in. Chris Heil coming away with a win over Billy Decker, Chuck Bauer. Tony Finch picked up the win. Brewerton and Fulton have enacted new policies over there at both speedways that no driver is permitted to exit a car unless it's an emergency situation, which I like. I like their move there. That's a good one. That's something that needs to happen. You got to stay in your car until you are told to exit by speedway management. You face fines and or suspensions. Certainly that is up to judgment though. If there's a fire in your car or you're upside down and you've got the means of escaping, get out of the car. But otherwise, making it mandatory for drivers in simple spinouts and things along those lines, or with flat tires and things that may venture down this road of exiting the car to confront the other driver in some way, shape, or form. There's some fines, penalties, and consequences tied to those actions, and I'm glad to see that, and I really anticipate more tracks following suit quickly in that decision. Brewerton over there, Tommy Sears Jr. got the win over Jimmy Phelps and Ryan Bartlett, Jim Whitco Jr., Larry White, Matt Shepard giving chase across the line. In the sportsman action, we had Doug Williams coming away with the mod lights, and then the pro race cars mod lights. Invitational, Nick Graziano got the win there. IMCA Modifieds, Chris Fleming and Chuck Polachek winning the 4 cylinders. The NY6A 600 Sprint Tour, Tommy Wickham got the win on Friday. Yates County Speedway, as of Monday, hadn't posted anything in terms of their news, in terms of the weekly division, but Brian Howland picked up the win. Good win for him. It was the first win since his boy Bryson has been born, so that was cool. But the boy's only about a month old, and he started hot. They brought out a piece that they had been successful with before. And he went out and picked up his 25th Patriot Sprint Tour win. So it was good to see him back in victory lane. Canandaigua, obviously, the news over there has been a little bit short, a little tough to find. Danny Johnson picked up the win Saturday in one of the memorial races down at Grandview. I saw that. Boy, Danny Johnson has just been on fire. He's been running really strong, really well, and he's going to be a force to reckon with. You know, the further into the season we go, the closer into some of these big money races. They're out there just simply going after big money shows, and they've got a piece that's painted up that looks a lot like that old school car, the small block that he had last year that went on an absolute tear. So keep an eye on Danny Johnson. You never know where that guy's going to show up. But if he's got a big price tag waiting on the, if he's got a big chunk of money waiting on the other side of that checkered flag, you can almost guarantee he's going to be there. In the way that he's been running lately, boy, it's going to be tough to bet against him. Billy Decker came away with the win in that 10,000 to win Hall of Fame 100 last Thursday. It was good to see him back in victory lane. Boy, if you haven't been to Weedsport, you got to get over there too. That facility is absolutely awesome. Just a beautiful, beautiful facility. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Still wrapped up on this whole Kevin Ward thing. I'm trying to be a little bit subdued and not get quite so, quite too over the top here with it, and just sort of talk with a level head here. But it is aggravating to no end. And I know the whole if it bleeds, it leads, the race to be first, but there's so much misinformation, misunderstanding, misconception, and just overall poor reporting that is going on right now with everything that is tied to this situation. And if everybody just slows down and takes a look at it from a racing perspective and stops and thinks about what they're saying, you can realize that what they're saying is hurtful, it's damaging, and it's not at all conducive to healing, getting past this, and making Kevin's passing actually, not go in vain. I like what we talked about here a minute ago with Fulton and Brewerton making the rule not to, you were not allowed to exit your car. But up to this point, how many times have we come across somebody being hit by a car? And that's what makes this a little bit hard. Again, like we talked about, there's other sprint car drivers that have died while driving in the car. Kevin was out of his car, which makes it even harder to believe. How easy is it to see a pedestrian when you're going through an intersection? How easy is it to see a motorcycle when you're looking for cars? Your mind's not looking to pick up the shape of a motorcycle. It's looking to pick up the shape of a car. Car-motorcycle accidents, they're prevalent. People get hit in intersections all the time. Out of a car that's designed to be seen out of. A sprint car is designed for speed. Look straight ahead. You can't turn your head easy. You can't see out the side. I mean, and would this even be news? Would this even be news? Would it have even gotten as far as Buffalo? If it was Jason Barney that hit Kevin Ward? If Chuck Hebing hit Kevin Ward? I don't wish that on them and the weight that Tony Stewart's carrying today. Unthinkable. But would it be news in Buffalo? Would Cleveland care? Would Fox News be talking about Kevin Ward? Would ESPN show the footage in full of a young man losing his life after another competitor runs him over with a 360 sprint car at Canandaigua Motorsports Park? No. Would it have even made the Rochester news? Maybe. We certainly wouldn't have news trailers camped outside of Canandaigua Motorsports Park, would we? No, we wouldn't. And why is that? Because you want to be first, ESPN? Because you want to report the news the fastest? You're making bad decisions faster than the laps click off. Be thorough. Family members saying that they're close to one situation or another, they're not even related. Complete misreporting. Completely. Would have been nice to have a couple other perspectives on the program. We've been absolutely underwater, front to back, with everybody's schedules and trying to make everything work. It was good to see Rich last week when we were over at Weedsport. Had the opportunity to go on the road a couple times this year. We've been filming like crazy with Smashed Empire, and we're getting ready to leave tomorrow, and it snuck up on me in terms of trying to get over here and get this thing knocked out for you guys. And I know there's some talking points, and I know out there's going to be people that don't agree with me, and that's fine. That's fine. I respect your position to disagree. But at the same time, for those who share my opinion and who think like me, and for Mike and John who aren't here, at least have the respect to listen to the other perspectives. And above all, have the respect to not propagate this any further than it needs to go. Don't make things worse. Respect the family of Kevin Ward. Be positive. It seems so hard. I find myself saying this a lot in the filming dates and in what we do with the demolition derbies. I know you guys think it's funny and it's a joke, but at the same time, it's something that's the way that we pay the bills at home. So, leave the sport better than you found it. Find a way. Do something positive. Be the difference. A lot of people out there not doing that right now. They're on their soapbox, pontificating, preaching, condemning, mouthing off about all sorts of different topics. You may feel that I've done the same thing for the last half hour. There's other people out there that are going to agree with me vehemently. And I hope this gets shared. And I hope people that agree with me put this around so that other people can hear the perspective. I want other people to try and latch onto this. Make the best of this situation, as awful as it is. Support the family. Support ESS. Support Canandaigua Motorsports Park. Support Tony Stewart. He's carrying a weight with him too. Support those guys. Be a positive. Leave it better than you found it today. Don't keep tearing it down, because nothing good's going to come of that. I don't think that's much to ask. I don't think that's hard. I don't think it's hard to do that. Wear orange. You want to do something? You want to be active? You want to make a change? You want to do something? Go to Brewerton Friday. Find an orange shirt. How many Jack Johnson shirts have you got laying around? That's orange. Buy one of the ones Craig Ravel's been talking about on Facebook. Get a decal. Put it on your car. That money's going back to the Injured Drivers Fund. Selflessly. The Ward families deferred donations, and instead those are being directed towards the injured drivers. That's making a difference. That's remarkable. The strength of that family in the midst of this is just beyond words. Look at them, and imagine what they're going through. And in the midst of all of that, having to bury a son, they're still turning around and making it about the sport and finding a way to make the sport better. Hopefully, some of you guys that have listened tonight, if you haven't yet, you can find in what we talked about this evening, and in that sole example, if nothing else, that sole example with what the Kevin Ward's family has done, you can find something in there. Maybe you can do the same. We'll see you next time.